Someone can use. I have my microphone on. You have to put your speaker down too.
And so we're saying the same thing.
Good?
No, no, good.
We don't have four.
We have people online?
Oh, how many? Oh, Mr. Rolando.
And Rodriguez.
No.
What am I doing? I got my phone down.
You gotta sign it.
And I don't know. Where she has to.
Miss Dennis. Thank you.
This is crazy.
Oh. I think you may not be in the mute.
I found it. It was on, it needs to be muted.
Okay.
Okay, so it is 5:05 p.m.
I'm gonna start the recording.
Yes, thank you. It's recording. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's April 11 at 5 and 5 p.m. Roll call for vote. Roll call, please.
Mr. Keelis? Dr. Vilches?
Here.
Mr. Cost? Here. Ms. Dunn?
Here.
Ms. Lopez?
Present.
I'm here. Ms. Oden? No, Ms. Oden. Ms. Merlos? Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Ms. Ortiz? Vanessa Ortiz? Ms. Itzel Rodriguez?
Here.
Ms. Hanson?
Here.
Ms. Destiny Johnson? So we have
No, you're missing one.
Ms.
Last
Shelley.
name, I'm so sorry.
Miss Shelley.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you did. You'll make our next.
I'll make the next one.
Michelle.
Okay.
Present.
That's it.
Got 10 present. 4 absent.
Um, I have 11. So 11 members present and we have 4. Next item in the agenda is to approve the agenda as submitted.
I second.
I second.
Thank you. I would like to present a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and right. It's open for discussion. Hanson, right? Last discussion, roll call for vote.
Ms. Dunn?
Yeah.
Mr. Cost?
Yeah.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Keelis? Dr. Vilches?
Yes.
Norma Lopez? Ms.
Uh,
Lopez?
give me 1 second. I'm trying to follow you with the roll call. We're not in order. So you have Mr. Giles.
Yep.
Ms. Belches, myself, and then you said
Ms. Dunn, Mr. Cost, and myself. all
Ms.
vote yes.
Dawn, Mr. Cost, and yourself. So I'm going back and forward. Go ahead.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Kimberly Hanson?
Yes.
And Ms. Shelley?
Yes.
So Destiny Johnson is not in the online?
She did not respond. I counted 10 present.
It sells on the computer.
And Destiny Johnson, I have her marked.
No, she's not here. It's
Oh,
Itzel.
okay, so never mind, I lost 10.
Yeah.
And votes in favor, motion passes. Next item on the agenda, please.
Previous LSC minutes.
Yes. So I don't know if the others in the room had a time to review the minutes. Mr. Caporillo would like to present a motion to the board meetings you are submitting to the council.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the regular meeting in March 14th.
Open for discussion. Not discussion, close discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
I abstain. I have no time to wait a minute.
Mr. Keelis, I vote yes. Mr. Koss,
I abstain.
is done.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Kimberly Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shelley,
Yeah. Sure, yes.
eight in favor.
We have eight. I have six. How many did you come?
That's the one. Yeah, I got 7 in favor.
Yeah, I got seven. With 7 votes, motion passed.
It should be 8 from the majority. but,
Right. That's what I checked.
uh,
You can actually,
mhm.
1, 2 votes, you are not supposed to change the mind.
No,
This is it. Okay, motion didn't pass. We can wait for the next meeting.
we present a motion to table the minutes of March.
Okay, I would like to present a motion to approve the minutes, to table the minutes until next regular meeting. Thank you. Plan for discussion. Clauses? No,
I just wanted to ask, is there a better way to send, I said about a week and a half ago, via email, as in.
Yeah, I usually read it, but I just didn't have a
it's
chance.
spring break.
I guess that's why you killed it.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Uh,
Okay, so, close discussion. Did you need to add something, Mr. Cookie?
No. Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Koss,
Yes.
is done.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Kimberly Hanson,
Yes.
and Ms. Shelley.
Yes.
10 in favor, 0 against, passes.
Next item on the agenda is public participation, and the only email I see we were received is the one from Mr. Brisky or Brzeski. Can you read it, Mr. Capote, please?
Hello, my name is Walter Kresge, and I'm a Stuymas community member and former CPS employee. I have some questions. Number 1, is anyone on this Stuymas LSC related to the vendor, quote, Santana and daughter, end quote, and or any other vendor? Does anyone on the LSC know if any current or past LSC members are related to any vendors that Stuymas has used and the LSC has voted budget transfer for at meetings? Number 2, can the LSC meeting minutes for January 2023 and February 2023, along with the LSC meeting video of the February 2023, be posted on the Stuymas website? Number 3, To Ms. Vilches, can you please name the vendors being used for the hoodie purchases, teacher appreciation, and any other purchases to be made with the budget transfers to be voted on at this meeting? Thank you, and I'll await your responses to my questions. Have a good meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Capuri. We move to the next item on the agenda, which is LSC Chair Report. And actually, the only report I have to share with you is that the due date to finish the principal evaluation is May 1st. And the second is that I share information from the LSC because I received a law firm asking for some information and I give it out. Before I did that, I contact law department and they have knowledge about it. So I hope I'm not like confused anymore.
FOIA request? Oh, I don't know.
No, it wasn't a FOIA request. It was a subpoena, I think. So, but I contact the department and they said it was okay for me to provide information. It was asked, and I did. So that's all I have to report on LSC chief. And they are members involved, LSC members involved in that. I'm not gonna name anybody, but I just want the rest of the LSC knows what's happening because all these things are distractions to me. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed of the Stein scholarship because instead of working and doing what we are supposed to be doing to make sure our kids are receiving the education they are supposed to receive because they are low income, we are getting involved in other stuff that has actually nothing to do with the LSC. And that depends on everyone and each of the LSC members sitting in the LSC. So one of the meetings I asked LSC members whether they have or they don't have a child, try to be respectful to each other, focus yourself in what is supposed to be done in the LSC to benefit our students and our families. And this LSC is focusing in a lot of other stuff that is not part of the LSC. So at this point, we are late in the principal's evaluation because we didn't do our job as an LSC. The due date is a few weeks apart, and we are trying to catch up. And it's not the way an LSC is supposed to function. We are not being responsible with the children we are serving and the families that trust us for being sitting here today. And I'm sorry for my English because I know a lot of people doesn't like it, but that's the only way I try to be accountable to those families that I represent. Because yes, I'm Hispanic, I'm Latina, and Spanish is my first language. And I think I'm the best person to give out the voice of parents just like me. Because I never understand why the system doesn't function for our kids. Now that I have 10 years experience in LSS, I know exactly why things are not working. It's not the system. It's the people who's making choices and has the power to make decisions. And I hope I were very clear with that. And I said it once also, and I'm going to repeat it myself. Our kids' education is not something that we are going to negotiate. We need to move this school forward, and we need to help our kids to pursue higher education. At least myself, I don't want to see my child, and I'm sorry what I'm going to say, but I don't want to see my child working in a factory or in McDonald's, as sometimes teachers say. So it's not for my children, and I don't think there are other parents that want the same thing for their kids. I want to make a difference. I want something better for my kids and for the kids I'm serving. And I hope that is going to be clear today and on. So thank you, and with that, I conclude my report, and we move to the next item, which is principal report.
Oh, no, teacher report.
Oh,
Can somebody please defend? I don't my fault.
I can do that.
We did,
Yeah, you're right. It's teacher's report.
Teachers report. Many teachers are looking forward to the lock-in coming up. I'm sort of the epicenter of their middle of school, third floor, and there's nothing you don't see or hear up there regularly. And so a lot of you're going to be there. You're going to be there, so they're looking forward to that. I let a couple students in late because they were supposed, and then Jesus got on the announcements that after school, we know you use it. But so students and teachers both are looking forward to that. Teachers are still interested in a clear, just a list or a form or something that says what things will be distributed via email, chat, and spaces. Also up there on the third floor, people ask me all the time, is there a meeting today? Where do I find it? What time do we get here for parent-teacher conferences? There's, confused sometimes where to look, and things are a little last minute sometimes for pep rallies, or teacher conferences. Putting in room numbers was like hours beforehand. So we need to streamline a little better. Teachers, email, chat, and spaces functions. And then last, a review of state policy and city policy regarding attendance and tardies. There is nothing that prohibits the use of tardies and attendance together with grades as part of that process. But as we know, rigor, being there on time consistently is how students learn, and there is nothing in my review of state policy or city policy that prohibits integrating those things, whether it's directly or in some other creative manner in terms of grading or whatever the case may be, or legwork, whatever it is. And the notion that it punishes a student to lower a grade if they have excessive tardies or absences. Of course, you want to talk to them, you want to work with them, but if it persists, the whole punishment line doesn't ring true. It seems to me. The grade is supposed to be a reflection of their mastery of material and their holistic growth as a person, and you simply can't. The grade reflects what they have accomplished, right? That's like going to a blue book, looking up the value of your car, and then being mad that it's not higher, right? It reflects the situation, and that's what grades do. So, again, I talk on behalf of teachers, and that is the most common discussion amongst teachers that we have, is just a much more consistent, transparent relationship between grades, tardies, attendance, so forth. And we're willing to work, of course, with the administration and climate and culture to make that clear to all stakeholders and get students back on track. That's
That's a report. Okay, I just have one question, because I've been hearing that tardies, absences, and all that part of policies that CPS managed to punish the kids if they are not doing it. Do you think that is just after all the 2.5 years of instruction laws that these kids went through? Because they are now looking only the 2 years of the pandemic. Previous to that, we had this spread. So kids are behind even before they get into the pandemic. And the struggles and the stress our families went through the pandemic because of the income, because of the language barriers, and because another things that of kids went through, because some of them lost one or both parents. Do you think it's fair to go back to the policies CPS was implementing before the pandemic to reflect their base of what they are supposed to know, but because of the pandemic, they don't have that knowledge? I'm not expecting maybe answers from teachers. I understand your position and I hear it clearly. And I would like to let everyone know that the first time we're enrolling the LSC and post the pandemic, I asked that administration what was gonna be the plan he was going to implement to make sure the kids were going to gain some of the structure in regard of curriculum that they got lost during the pandemic. And I received no answer at that point. But now I know everybody wants to go back to normal, and I think it's okay. But I just think it's not fair to just punish our students when they are struggling even more. If they are showing bad behavior, it's not because they are bad kids. It's because they don't have the advantages of all other kids in the city of Chicago.
Mhm.
Being a black and brown makes the difference. It's a big difference. And our kids always pay the price. So I think if we find another way to help our kids, it's going to be very beneficial if we work together. But if we really sit down and work together. Dr. Butch?
Can I have the floor? Yeah, so I resent the policy again, like I shared in the last LSC meeting. All CPS board policies are published on the CPS website. They have a whole page dedicated to attendance and truancy, along with ISB state policy, which was reformed after the pandemic in terms of punitive practices. Because after the pandemic, you have to look at a holistic approach to the child, because like you said, we do have a lot of students that they don't disclose to their teachers, but they have lost parents. So I do have, we have several students that have lost both mom and dad, or they've lost one or the other, the parent. They don't have the same needs, job loss. So there are other extenuating circumstances as a result of the pandemic that are factoring. And you only see, it's easy to see one side of the child when they're in the hallways, but you got to take the whole picture, right?
Right.
Keep in mind, like a lot of the work that the district did with the pandemic is they looked at student prioritization index indicators. So they took into consideration the neighborhoods that they live, the crime rate, access to health, access to resources. And we know that Belmont-Croghan actually was documented as one of the highest COVID rates and doesn't have a lot of access to like what other neighborhoods would have, like full park district with full programming. So when we look at SPI indicators, student prioritization indicators for assignments, it does reflect high crime rate for our students from the communities that they come in. High poverty rates, high access to mental health resources, almost non-existent access to medical resources, immigration status. All of those are factors that were considered during the pandemic, and that's how the district allocated a lot of like this COVID relief funding is based on SPI numbers. So again, bringing it back is you do have to, like, I'm glad that you brought it up, is if people want to refer to punitive practices, what is that going to change, right? If a student has experienced loss or has high trauma because of situations that we don't see, because they go home and they don't have access to food and resources, they don't have that. So, and that's the same thing that when I meet with city officials and stuff like that, like, what do our kids have access to? Brickyard and Reese Park. Like, where is that robust programming that some of the other schools have access to? Like, full programming, like we don't have that. It's either the brickyard or the kids walk to the hip or play in the park to a certain hours, right? Because I'm from the neighborhood, so I know what we have access to. An AMC theater past 6, you can't go. So we know that, right? So those are some of the things, like what do our kids have access to? Is social media, phones, and Reese Park. We know we don't send their kids there certain hours because I'm from the community. I'm not going to go over there past a certain hour. I know that. So those are some of the things that were taken into consideration in terms of student prioritization and all that. And so that's why punitive practices towards attendance are something that the district and even the state have moved away from. So again, I reshare the policy. It is something that every school is dealing with, like different approaches on how to address attendance, because a lot of people say attendance is the root of the grades. That is incorrect. Attendance is a symptom of something else. So truancy, students not attending class, is either a result of instruction, curriculum, environment, or things that are happening beyond the scope of the school. So we know that, and it's already documented when you look at MTSS, multi-tier system of supports, even response to intervention, that attendance is documented as a result of something else. So when they're saying that's the cause of why they're getting bad grades, no, it's a symptom of something else that is impacting their grades. And we know that attendance will impact their grades because they're not there. So it has an indirect effect. So for them to say that we can't tie it to it, there is a direct correlation between grades and attendance. We know that because if they're not there to do the work, they're not going to get the grades. And we're not asking teachers to grade unexcused work, right, for unexcused absences. So to say that there is no connection between it's not correct because there is a direct correlation. No one's asking people to grade work for unexcused absences. But if the student is trying, that's something that the teacher has to take into consideration when they're looking at tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 supports for the students.
Thank you for that answer. Next report, staff report, Mr. Rolando.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say that the staff that helped out for report card pickup, they were very thankful. They got to see a lot of parents. They enjoyed Steam Fest. We got a lot of good feedback from parents and staff members during that day. So just wanted to say thank you for the people that contributed to that and our students that played a key part in that. So they were recognized during the week and we rewarded them with pizza. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rolando. That's your report? Okay, sorry. That was Mr. Capuli's cover to say that. Thank you, Mr. Rolando. So I'm gonna go back to your question.
Yeah, I feel we're making two separate arguments. I'm speaking for teachers. I'm reporting this isn't Caputi coming here and making some sort of.
Somebody's saying, you're giving the teacher's report, so you're voicing out what teachers are saying.
Right.
I understand that. I'm not saying I'm unopposed a statement.
Right.
And I'm just trying to speak out what the parent perspective for teachers to know, because you are saying, you are reporting to the LSC what teachers are telling you. I'm clear on that, and LSC members are clear on that. So it's not you, it's the teachers. But I'm speaking out, and I'm speaking directly to the camera because I'm trying to address every single teacher in the room. You that are here as an LSC member and the teachers that are online.
Can I go now?
Go ahead. I'm just trying to clarify you the situation.
Again, I'm just bringing what teachers have mentioned. Everything you got, we're teachers. We work with children all day.
Mm-hmm.
And everything you guys said is absolutely true. And that's not at all what I was addressing. And that's not at all what teachers are addressing. There's no talk amongst teachers about punishing students for their circumstances. There's no talk amongst teachers about holding them responsible for things outside of their control, including poverty and illness. No one is talking about that. We're talking about basic infrastructure-based protocol, right? The kids come here every day and they're battling whatever they're battling. And anyone who deals with kids understands what helps them through some of these issues and helps them to learn is providing as stable an environment as possible for them psychologically, academically. And that's what this does predate this year. This is an issue within the city. No one was suggesting that. So what teachers are asking for, and I don't have the answer, no one teacher has the answer. We're asking for open, honest discussion about how to create a stable environment for students, because teachers are also being asked to meet levels of rigor that teachers know when they walk in the classroom are virtually impossible, given all the things you guys just mentioned. So if everything you guys just said is true, trying to meet these levels of rigor that we're being asked to, you can't play both sides of the street. We're trying to meet you guys where you want to go. We accept everything you said. No one has an issue with it. But when we're here as a group, teachers, and so they feel comfortable and settled enough to learn. No one's saying punish them for anything. We can look at grading procedures. We can look at late work. We can look at times of play. We can look at cataloging certain students with certain, I don't know the answers, where teachers are just frustrated with the general silence about the situation and the lack of creativity about it. It's because everything the lady said is true that teachers are concerned about creating a stable environment. Not despite what you guys are saying. We're on your side, and to help them, I'm a father and a teacher all day long. They need to know that there are predictable circumstances that they can enter so they can be settled and they can learn. And this predates this year in this administration. That has not been true for some time. And it's unsettling to kids. They flee to bathrooms. They don't want to go to lunchroom. They don't want to come to certain classrooms. Because we need to come up with a way to make it as settled and helpful to students as possible. No one is taught. That's why I tried to put that word punitive aside. Then we can make an honest assessment of the students who are suffering through whatever traumas. Because right now, you can't tell one from the other, but everyone's just sort of wherever they want to go. So that's the appeal teachers are trying to make and that I'm trying to express right now. It is some sort of, we've talked about committees or meetings, working something out that attendance starting, the grading, being a class, rigor. We're just pushing rigor. That's what teachers seem to sense. Rigor, rigor, rigor. Well, we can't do that because of everything you guys said. We agree with you. You can't have one before addressing the other. You have to address the environment of the school, stabilize it first. That's what teachers and then that's what
And as I said, I hear clear, and it's not new because you have mentioned that before, as report. And I heard that. And that's why I said we need to come together to find a way to bring a solution. And with the information you just shared, I already know where exactly it's a problem and how we can address it. And I'm gonna try to do something about it as not the LSC, as a parent. So thank you, Mr. Caputi, for the report. So we move to the athletic report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. So, and I want to make it clear that I speak on behalf of coaches, the school as a whole, and for every one of our athletes. So while Mr. Caputi speaks for the teachers, those are the people who are my stakeholders that I represent. So first, I'd like to say, finally, thankfully, I figured out how to put all of our events on the school website. So if you were to go onto the Steinmetz website, you will see all of our games are updated, where they're located, where they're at, including things like the fact that there's no practices today. If parents wanted to look on there, they could see that there are no practices today or tomorrow, no games, no anything. So I figured out how to do that. It has been brought to my attention correctly that OSA, Sports Administration, has created CPL calendars, Chicago Public League calendars for each school. That is my next goal, is to get that one updated. But right now, if a parent, a spectator, an opposing team, an alum wants to know when there are games, they are on the website, and I'm very excited about that. So that's number one. Number two, as we move through spring season, I'm really proud of the eligibility that we've been checking. We check grades every week. And now recently they've started checking SCC violations, so student code of conduct, which is great, but also attendance. And so since we are discussing this, if we are not looking to be punitive in terms of students based on the problems that they have in terms of getting to school regularly, I think we need to look at that also in terms of our athletes. I understand that athletics is extracurricular and not the same as going to class, but if we see that our kids are having difficulties outside of the school, we need to consider that in terms of athletics as well, not just make them ineligible. For some of our students, athletics is the only reason they come to school. And to tell them that they are ineligible for the same reasons that we are giving them leeway because of personal problems and things within their homes, but to tell them that they are then ineligible to participate in sports seems contradictory. So I really want to make sure that we are looking at individual students that way instead of just saying, well, you missed 2 classes, you're ineligible. And I know that you can cite somewhere that says you missed this many. I get that. But at the same time, we need to be looking at our students as individuals and what is going to benefit them. And getting them to be on teams is keeping their grades up. And I want to congratulate my coaches who work hard with their athletes, who have team study halls, who pull their kids aside and talk to them. Just yesterday, we had a conversation with the sophomore volleyball team, the boys team, and we said, get your grades up or your season's over. And we meant it. So I want to make it clear that we are all about there being student athletes, students first, but we also need to consider the same things that we consider with every one of our students as we move forward. Some shout outs I want to throw out there. Our track team hosted its first meet this past April 1st. We had 6 teams who attended in a crazy cold day. Ms. Dunn can tell you because she was out there with us. So thank you to Coaches Reyes, Coach Urquizo, Coach Bagdonas, Coach Coleman. Thank you for all your hard work for that meet. We always get a great response from visitors who come to our school and say what a beautiful facility we have, and we do. Thank you to Mr. Ochoa and Ms. Dunn for being out there and supporting our kids in that cold. Mr. DeJesus was here in the building. Our security staff was wonderful. We also had student volunteers from PE classes who were out there earning extra credit by volunteering, plus a couple members of my own softball team. Shout out to them for volunteering to support another sport. There were even members of administration from other schools. The Von Steuben principal came out. The Roosevelt AD was out there. So it's exciting to see other people on our campus. Our next meet is on April 29th, and we're always looking for volunteers, and that includes anyone here in this room. If you want to come out, hopefully it won't be nearly as cold. And we'll be hosting the CPS Boys Track Championships again on May 13th. So that's pretty exciting. Thank you to the baseball team for hosting, again, in a terrible weather day, a spring break tournament outside. They were pelted by golf ball sized hail at the end of the second game, but bless their hearts, they were out there playing. Coach Roldan does a great job, Coach, getting those teams to come out, which is wonderful. Even, buying the kids pizza so that between games they had something to keep them going, which is amazing. I want to just say our parents this year, I can't speak for every sport, but every sport that I've been to, the parents have been awesome. My parents for softball, the parents for baseball. We had a dinner, we invited them out. They have been at almost every game. I can't even tell you how proud I am of the parents who come out and support our girls for softball, the guys for baseball. So seeing parents coming out like this, it does my heart good. And to that, I do have a disappointment to confess, and that is that while the parents are out there, we don't get a lot of staff who come out and support our teams. So a teacher came up to me the other day and said she went to a volleyball game and the boys were so excited. They said, when are you coming to the next one? We have one this week, will you come? And when parents see the teachers out there, when students see the teachers out there, it means something to them. And so everyone, now that all the games are on the website, please take a minute, stop out, even if it's just for a second. One of the parents saw Dr. Vilches out on the field stopping by a baseball and soccer game. And he said to me, he said, that's exciting that your principal is out here. This is what the community and our students and our parents need to see. So everyone needs to support all of our kids. Back to that, we are not doing, I'm congratulating, the badminton team. They are using a new gym instead of the middle gym. They're using what I call the south gym, which allows for balcony so parents can come out and watch their games. They have new nets, which is awesome. So Ms. Ferrini has done a great job with that. We are not selling tickets, however, for badminton and volleyball because it has been impossible to get 2 people to volunteer for each night. And that was the requirement. And so until we start to get more buy-in from everyone, we're going to have problems with that. I want to say thank you to the coaches who celebrated their teams. Both the basketball teams, boys and girls, held parties which were sponsored by those coaches. They paid for everything. They did a beautiful job. And the bowling team had a get together this past weekend, which was again sponsored by the coaches. Our coaches value our kids. I just want to make sure that that is clear. The other disappointment that I had this week was the fact that the building was closed to students during spring break. We asked the question, what do our kids have to access in this area? They have us. They have us. And so we need to give all the experiences we can to our kids. Our badminton team and volleyball team were not allowed to practice during spring break. Our kids who were outside for practice couldn't come inside and use the bathroom. It was an opportunity missed where kids who were behind could have gotten tutoring. We could have had all kinds of things in here. Look at the schools all over the city. They're open on weekends. They're open during spring break. They have to be. Because like you say, what do we have in this neighborhood for our kids? We have us. And we have to be open for them, for all of their needs. Because otherwise, there's nowhere else for them to go. That said, let's see. I'm very excited that weekly we're going to have AD admin meetings. So I'll be meeting with Mr. DiCarlo and Ms. Pierce every week to discuss events or things going on related to athletics. So I think that'll be great. And tomorrow I'm having a coaches budget meeting where all of the coaches are going to figure out how to ensure that we get what we need for all of our teams for next year. That includes finding ways to host events, have staff outings, continue to have ticket sales for all of our games, have school events like the Valentine's Day dance that was so successful, using things like snap raise and selling concessions. We have a lot of things that we have to pay for. The school should be responsible for certain things. The other things we are willing to work for. We'll figure out how to get it done. But the coaches are willing to step up, and we need everyone's support for that. And to that last end, in May, I will be presenting all of these to you so that when the school year ends, before the fall season even begins, which is in August, everyone knows what's coming up. They're definitely going to focus on pay to play, which is a fee for participation on teams. It's an unfortunate truth that the school cannot provide everything that we need. And so until the day when CPS gives us everything that we need, we're going to have to figure out how to get it for our kids. And I'll tell you right now, it is not even a question that when I have a conference game scheduled at Little Village or Juarez, I should not be asking my kids to take public transportation to get there. So the school needs to make sure that we are providing transportation when it's needed, but the things that are extra, we're willing to work for. So if anyone has questions, I'm always happy to answer them. I hope we'll see you at events. And that's everything for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Back report.
Student.
Thank you. Student report. We move to the back or PAC report.
Oh, they met.
We go back.
So for BAC, so it was held on the same day, 1 hour after the meeting. They shared in community and food, and they're talking about what to focus on for parent training, how to allocate their funding for what workshops the parents would need and how to organize that so to open it up to all the parents. They're working on spending the parent training
So we
money.
have a back.
Yeah, so they stay.
Finally.
They stay, so they're looking at parent training. We are going to work with Parent University, so maybe as a site to offer the training so that we can get more access to parents to come to the training. So we have, it's a small budget, but there is a budget allocated for parent training from BAC. So to make sure that we make it accessible to all and more parents feel comfortable going to the mosque for parent workshops. So we're going to work with a Parent University on what that could look like.
Thank you.
Well, I'm waiting for the next, I'll let you guys know when the next meeting is.
Okay.
They haven't decided that yet.
Thank you. We go back to the student report. A recording student today. So we move to the next item, which is the PPLC, please.
We're just noting Destiny Johnson joined.
Oh, she's
And
here.
I called in.
Yes,
Yes, so what time was it?
I don't know, I just noticed.
It's 5:51. You just notified that? She joined?
no, I've been on it.
Do you know what time you joined the meeting?
Yes, 5:18.
Thank you, dear.
Like what?
5:18 p.m. Okay. So you can have her at 5:18 p.m. No.
So because this spring break, we didn't, do as a PPLC break next week,
Okay,
so we don't have a report.
on the next meeting.
Get the next one.
Okay. Thank you. So next item in the agenda is the CIWP.
So the CAWP is being released. Well, there's a delay. Was supposed to be released 4:10 yesterday. So they're releasing the budgets and the template. It is a new template that we'll be working off of. For CIWP, we got an overview of that at our last CEO CEDOS meeting. In terms of, it's going to be a Google sheet where it's going to be like a one-stop shop where you identify priorities, but they're going to narrow it down to like specific topics. You will pick the priorities, that you'll do your root cause analysis. The data indicators will be pre-populated, so they'll have like specific indicators, and either they're going to put that information in or not. So we're waiting for that to see. And then you'll have to write your theory of action, your action plan, and your milestones, and how you're going to progress monitor that continuous improvement work plan. They gave some suggestions. They gave a whole calendar. It seems like CIWP could go into summer planning. We could try to finish it by June, but schools don't have to. So they're giving schools flexibility to go into the summer and early fall to finish the CIWP. So the budget still has to be finished on a certain time. So I think the consensus is a lot of principals are going to be working with the CIWP to kind of make sure that most of it is aligned and completed before the end of the school year. But we do have that flexibility. Some of the differences now is they do want the MTSS, your MTSS lead, your culture and climate lead, your ILT, your student leads. So we're working on a student voice committee. We're starting that work for next year, but we have student LSC representatives. Of course, your LSC representative to be part of that team. So they're no longer calling it culture and climate. They call it wellness and connectedness. MTSS is called MTSS. So they're changing some of the language. So that's what we learned. So that process was supposed to be rolled out this week. So we're waiting for everything to, each school's going to get their own workbook. And on April 19th, we'll have that ready to meet with the CIWP to start that process. We've been doing some of the pre-work that they've been giving us in terms of target universalism and equity. So we work that in with the ILT and the CIWP, but it's like some pre-work because they're releasing like the full thing. So once they release the deck and the templates at the 419, hopefully at crossing fingers, everything is ready to go by 419. So I'll be able to share all of the new updates and the new workbook. It doesn't look the same, just so you guys know. It's very different. It's not like the CIWP.cps.edu. It's not that anymore. So there will be some technical differences too. So 419 be ready to learn. We're waiting for the district to release everything. So once there's a slight delay, we just got the email of the delay.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is principal report.
Great. I don't have much, just a couple updates in terms of, I already have the binders for that's competency A only.
I know.
That's one, because
How many competencies do we have?
there's A through, yeah, there's a lot. But everything else I did it or digitally because it was becoming too much paper, but I did print out competency A because all the principal reports are there. The transfer window is open, so we've been staffing. So we have 3 people have already put in retirement without going into disclosure of who they are. So we have some retirement notices, our resignation and retirement notices. So those are already 3 so far. Yes.
And
2.
those are gonna be for next year?
Yeah,
or-
they're already posted as
Yeah.
anticipated. Yeah. So everything's been posted. We still have some vacancies from people that left mid-year. DL vacancies, but it is the transfer window, so it's great. We can hire, but they can't start till August. So we are in the onboarding process with a couple and still interviewing for a lot of positions. So with that, and then prom, we're already full effect with prom and all of the senior events. Everything's mapped out on the calendar. Flyers have been sent out to the community and to the parents. We are looking at different factors to make sure that because it is an extracurricular, that we're still following the CPS student code of conduct when it comes to certain policies. But incentivizing, like it's about improvement in terms of making sure your attendance and your behavior are on track to attend these extracurricular events. but it's not punitive. Like there's like progressive discipline, there's restorative practices, and a lot of the work that we did with the senior events, we worked closely with our OSCL specialists from the district and from the network to make sure that everything is in accordance with law and discipline and the student code of conduct. So we are in the full works with prom, grad night, senior lock-in, luncheon. And so guest forms are ready to be picked up after school, of course, like Mr. De Jesus said. So prom is ongoing. We're still collecting fees. We'll see if I don't get the 140 students, it is gonna become a junior senior prom. So it is something that we monitor. We keep track of everyone that's paying because we do have to get a certain number of students for the prom, right? So I track that daily in terms of payment. And then I'll have to explore like expanding if we don't hit the 140 mark for students attending. So it's something that we're working on. Graduation is set for June 3rd. We are working on the senior final closing dates in terms of grades. We picked the farthest date for graduation, so it'll be June 3rd, Saturday at 10 a.m. And so everything will work backwards from there. This weekend is the military ball for JROTC. We're excited about that event. It's first kickoff of like culminating events. I've been working with the admin team right now on staff organization because the preference sheets have already gone out to staff in terms of what they prefer to, your CTU requirements. And so I've been working with them on the master schedule for next year, where everything's already due for next year. So just so you guys know, everything has already started. So we already had to commit to all of our summer programming. So just to let you guys know that we were awarded $71,000 in a grant for summer programming. I could dream big, and they did. Now we just gotta find people to work these programs. So we have $71,000 in out of school time, and this is outside of credit recovery. These are different programs that we can offer to students that are not traditional, like a newcomer group, or like someone's going to do the SS3, like a culture and climate group, or we're seeing students with attendance challenges, like kind of having some type of mentorship. Camps, we wrote up for basketball. Someone wanted to do a basketball camp, a soccer camp. So camps, and they paid for the materials that go with these camps and the staffing. So we wrote up a beautiful grant. So we will be offering this summer a robust credit recovery. So that's why we said yes to everything, because we weren't able to offer in the fall, winter, because with the transition of our programmer and not being for sure if we were going to have the staff. And now we said yes to a full credit recovery program. We said yes to SCS, yes to Freshman Connection, yes to out of school time, which is a lot. $71,000 per summer is great. So we will be busy this summer, and I think we're going to be the Northwest side site for families to, when they have IEP evaluations for the little kids, they have to have certain sites. So I believe that we're going to be the Northwest site for families to come and have their little ones evaluated because they have to have hubs across the city. So I have to wait for it to see if if Simon's is the site for the Northwest side.
Okay.
I'm trying to, everything was due, like, we just, so we had to write everything, like we had, it was like, it's due and it's due that week. And so we were sitting down, cramming, writing, like figuring out costs and saying yes, and who's going to be the coordinator, and application for summer school employment is only open like a 2-week window too. So it closes on the 14th for staff. So anyone that's interested in working credit recovery or Freshman Connection, they have to apply through the CPS process. Otherwise, they can't be staffed by the principal without being, and that closes on the 14th and is centrally managed. So that just gives you like the window. So we had to turn that in. Everything for next year will be due soon for programming, staffing. So a lot of anticipated work that we've been doing, but I'll share with the CWP and of course the IoT and release everything. A couple of things. I know that it came up with the school not being open during spring break. So you have to keep in mind with staffing, security is, certain staff are paid to stay home. And so you can't do OT or anything like that outside of the election money because we had elections here on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So spring break for our site was deep cleaning. So that means that all of the spaces were being sprayed with chemicals that cannot be accessible to students. They were doing the carpets because they have been done in over 2 years. So we have requested from Airmark and Vargas that all the carpets be done in all of the offices, the bathrooms, that we requested for a deep cleaning. So we work with 2 different organizations, like vendors, in terms of how they manage it centrally. We have Vargas group and the Airmark group, and each group has a different section. So I have to talk to 2 different managers. So when something doesn't get done, I don't get to talk to that person. I have to go to either Vargas or Airmark or the higher ups, because I'm tired of having that conversation of how it's not clean. So the building was being cleaned. Staff that are 52-week employees were given the right to telework, so they technically didn't have to report. Some did report, but they reported out of because they wanted to do a lot of planning in terms of culture and climate work, but it wasn't because they had to be there. So the directive from like CPS was, please make sure that you use this time to catch up on a lot of the stuff. So when you don't have the security, you don't have the manpower unless they have to give up that telework option, or they have the right to kind of take a breather too for spring break. So I wanted to respect that right and catch up on a lot of much needed cleaning, because during the track meet, it was great. We had it. Our facilities are beautiful, but they haven't been doing a really good job with cleaning. So I've been working with both Airmark and Vargas to make sure that why is it looking like this? And so our focus for spring break was making sure that bathrooms were cleaned up the right way, carpets, we've had mice problems. So all of that was spring break. So people were here, but they're technically not supposed to be here, but they came to like clean up like stuff that the fire marshal said we had to move because they're going to paint the locker room or catch up on culture and climate work and make sure we had everything ready to go for when our OSCL specialist comes, because he wanted to see certain things written. So it was a lot of catch up and cleaning. So we know that, and then we are open on Saturday. So I just want to make sure that that was clear, is that there has been one admin designated to be here on Saturdays for practices. So admin have been working 6 hours, 6 days a week on rotation. And sometimes they work 12-hour shifts. So keeping in mind that admin are here on Saturdays. If one of us can't be here, then we have someone designated to be here. But Mr. DeCarlo, Ms. Pierce, Ms. Rodriguez, Mr. De Jesus, or myself, we are either coming in and out or here the whole time. So we
express to the staff, they don't know that.
So it's on, again, if I go based on the practice schedule. So there's practices that are available. If it's on the master calendar of the athletics calendar, I have designated an AP or an administrator to be on site or to be the designated AP. But it's only for athletics, or what's communicated to me, like if there's an alumni event, if there's a track meet, if there's practices, there's been an AP designated. And that's been communicated.
Thank you. We move to the next item.
Mention something, Ms. Merlos, I'm sorry, Ms. Lopez, I think Ms.
You have
Merlos
to ask the floor.
are.
You are supposed to ask the floor, and after you receive the floor is when you can say this. Go ahead.
I don't know who talks at this point. Ms. Merlos may be on. I just wanted for attendance and for my screen says Sue Merlos.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Just, and then I.
So what time? What time is her completing?
Well, I just noticed it now. I don't know when she started. It's 6:05. I noticed. But I don't. Time is. Can I?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You put it up there.
5:10. Thank you. 5:10, no. 6:10.
No, I was here at 5:10.
Ms. Merlos? You
Yes.
didn't put any item, right?
No,
You were
but I
not.
was here. I came in at 5:10.
but you were never called.
No.
I apologize for that. So according to what I marked, you were not here. So I'm so sorry. So we didn't mean to invalidate your right to vote. I just didn't realize that you were here. So, well, it's not gonna happen next time. Next time it's gonna be in person. We're not gonna have that problem. But for today, I just apologize because I never see you were online. I'm so sorry. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. So next time we have to use the fruit purple. So we
Yeah,
can
I
legally
call-
don't give, yes, I was having a hard time trying to put everyone on my list. Because we are learning in the process, but so far we are okay. So,
We have the floor
Go ahead.
one. And hope I'm not putting words in Ms. Russo's. I think part of what she's asking for is just some heads up with stuff that happened with the gates in the hallway, like teams and players show up and then there's a gate there. I mean, so maybe if it's Mr. DeCarlo or someone else, some talk about what's coming down the pipe. And also for spring break, I'm sure spring cleaning was planned sometime prior to spring break, where we could communicate with teams and players. So I think, I mean, of course, things happen, we get all that, but I think she's, even after spring break, I know Ms. Russo is not sure why. So even during, maybe we could. So I think Ms. Russo is asking for a lot of more consistent and clear communication involving athletics.
I think just well, it's still principal with this. So, with athletics, I go based on the calendar, whatever's entered in athletics. If anything's on practice, I make sure that there's a designated administrator or someone designated to be in the building or to be on call, mostly in the building. So I go based on the master calendar of athletics, or I look at the practice schedules that is sent to me via Google Sheets. And the way spring cleaning, no, it doesn't work like in advance. Like you're working with two different vendors and you're going back and forth until someone responds and they say, yes, finally we're going to do this detail report, and you have to communicate by email back and forth until two different companies agree to do the spring cleaning. So there's a lot of legwork that has to happen on behalf of the administration just to get the building to look the way it does. So no, it's not that simple because you're working with two different vendors. And you're working with whoever they outsource, which is Vargas and Airmark. So it's not as simple like if I want the stair clear, no, I have to email this person, take pictures and submit it to them for like what's going on. So it's to assume that it's that simple, I wish, but it's not. And then I get a report of what was done, not a report. They give me a report of what they might do and what got done. So with this quickly, and then I had one more thing with curriculum maps. I'm happy to say that there's no more confusion. That process has seen its way through both on the CTU and the CPS side. So we are moving forward with what is in the handbook. So for unit maps, the criteria that is in the handbook does stand and is where there's no more confusion. It's exactly what was already in the handbook is what is the expectation for teachers now to submit for curriculum maps, and that has made its way through that process between CTU and CPS. And so it's exactly what it was communicated day one is now it's official that it stands as what was communicated in the handbook. So the expectations for curriculum mapping are as outlined in the handbook for staff now. So it's clear and it's been made very clear now by both CTU and CPS in terms of that process. So we can move forward now with no questions because everything now goes back to what was communicated in the handbook.
Madam Chair, can I have a second?
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, I've been kind of quiet today because I've been kind of observing everything that's going on, but what I've seen is that there's no kind of communication on the day-to-day issues. And we as council members do not deal with day-to-day issues. We're supposed to kind of get everything together in the pot and work on it. but I've seen that there's kind of a lack of communication on a day-to-day issue. Is this what's going on, or, I mean, I'm just asking because that's what I have heard today here.
So they get, well, with the communication for cleanliness, that's two vendors, so that goes through that process. You know how that process works itself out. Teachers get the staff newsletter. They can choose to read it or not, but every department is represented there. So any, like athletics can communicate whatever they need, STEAM communicates what they need, IB, MTSS, culture and climate, the principal section. If there's anything that comes out like last minute, I'll make sure to put it either in an email, like they requested that if it's formal communication, I've been sending it via email. If it's something like they requested from the PPLC that it was just something quick, put it in the space. So I use the email now, like as requested by the PPLC for more formal communication, like reminding them of things that come out last minute by CPS, like applying for summer school, or this is that, or this is due. I rely on some communication from the leagues as well in terms of like when it comes from MTSS, IB, athletics. So whatever is put on the master calendar or athletics, that's what I go by in terms of making sure we have security outside because they're spread so thin. So it's like you have to really be thoughtful because they're tired too. Like you're asking them sometimes to stay from 7 to 8 and then they have to report back the next day and they have to deal with a lot of issues with the day-to-day issues of the building. So I rely a lot on the calendar and Google communication, but we do have the staff newsletter. I send parent communications out in English and Spanish. I try to synthesize it because it was too lengthy, so I've been keeping it to the point. Yeah, so, and I didn't send out staff newsletter because it was a short week, but other than that, there's been a staff newsletter out every week. I mean, it's robust because it has a lot of information. It has policies. If there's anything that comes from Network 14, I make sure to communicate that in there. Any trainings for Skyline, any trainings for new teachers, IoT meetings. I even link the decks to our meetings for full transparency. They can look up if they want to see what's happening at the CIWP, they can. If they want to see what the IoT is doing, all of that is their grade level meetings. I communicate those meetings as well. PSAT testing, that email went out once everything was finalized by the testing coordinator. And you got to keep in mind, they have their time, right? So they're not going to do any work over spring break as well. So you have to respect that too. So it's, you know, you have to depend on a lot of people for that communication to go on. You have to respect their boundaries and their CTU rights as well in terms of their work hours. And so it's like a twofold, right? Administration works pretty much 24/7, but when it comes to other staff, you're leaning on people that have. And so as best as possible, I try to communicate as much. And I've been honoring the request of email and the space. And staff newsletter.
Okay, thank you. So we move to the next item, which is internal accounts.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Well, I can abstain because I was very good. Would you like to do something?
I present the motion to approve internal accounts as presented to the LSC.
Second.
Open for discussion.
Yeah, I don't want to discuss. I just want to say that the same as the minutes, I didn't have a chance to read them. So, you know, I would have to abstain. I'm sorry about that.
No, I opened it.
That's spring break.
There was a spring break.
It's next week.
A motion to table approval of internal accounts.
So if you present the motion already, so we have to
See that
we
one.
have to make this motion to fail and then we can present the other motion. So, okay, so close discussion, roll call. To deny the motion.
No, oh, sorry. I thought you said okay.
Dr. Vilches,
No,
Ms. Lopez,
No.
Mr. Keelis, I also abstain. Mr. Koss,
Abstain.
Ms. Dunn,
Abstain.
Mr. Rodriguez,
I abstain.
Ms. Merlos,
I abstain.
Itzel Rodriguez,
No.
Ms. Hanson,
Abstain.
Ms. Destiny Johnson.
I abstain.
So-
I abstained.
Oh, I'm so, I got.
I'll be official.
So I got one, no. There's one, two no's, one, two. Three no's, nine abstentions. So, motion fails.
The motion didn't pass. So I would like to present a motion to table internal accounts for next regular LC meeting. Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Open for discussion. No discussion, we'll vote.
Ms. Shirley, I'm gonna start with you. If
I'm gonna
that
abstain.
doesn't get me in trouble. Okay, you abstain?
To table the meeting.
Oh,
To table the, no, to table the, to table the
So next
internal
month.
accounts.
Internal account, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Aye.
I vote yes. Mr. Koss.
Yes.
Ms. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Merlos.
Yes.
Itzel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Kimberly Hanson.
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson. Ms. Destiny Johnson?
She's different.
So I got 11 yes, one,
No. Contrary. This is not abstain and is not a no.
No, it's fine.
I'm abstain.
Did she drop?
No, she's
She
still.
has some turn information. We don't know. Ms. Becca, can you please, send a message to Tanya? Tanya, and explain her that, public participation is over.
Sure.
And she raised her hand.
oh,
We
she
have
just
to
took it down. I think she was stretching digits.
Oh, okay, so, because, yeah.
I work with
she was-
students a lot, so I see all types, I see, as a regular interactor with students and their needs, I see all manner of stretching.
Okay,
Very sensitive.
so next item in the agenda is budget transfers. We have the transfers.
It's a lot.
I see, they're per pages. Did you like the agenda? Oh, you.
There's 16.
So I will preface all of these budget transfers because we've been working over spring break to get all of the buckets, make sure every department knows they have to allocate accordingly, working with different needs to make sure that they know how much is left in their budgets. There's money left over from bus, like $50 here, so we're trying to make sure that they allocate everything. So that's why you didn't see a lot of requests. And then I'll speak to certain requests as you know, in terms of vendors. Oh, Do I read it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
No,
so-
no, go ahead.
I make a motion to transfer a total of $674.96 from vending machine line 46291-124-57915 to 56106-000-322 46291-124-53405 211-210-000-320 to purchase hoodies for students. Incentive for Mr. Hannah's team to promote young men of color.
I second.
Open for discussion. Go ahead.
For vending machine, is that discretionary fund?
That's money that is going to be, like when they clear out all the budgets, that's one of the lines that'll be swept. So we were looking through all of the lines and there's smaller amounts and allocating. So, he wants to, is it open for discussion? It's open.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
No, we are.
So yes, it's funds that'll be, if not spent, will be, from what I was,
We'll be back to CP.
getting.
that the only group that was considered to get those funds?
No, he's part of the culture and climate team, so he requested that, he's trying to work with his team in terms of building their character development. So everyone could put in requests, like if there's like a culture climate, there's money for incentives that we allocated a long time ago. So he wants to start building up the young men that he works with in terms of character development. One of the things is making sure that they like have that as a group, because we have BAM, but he wants to promote character development of the kids that he works with.
So it's not a sports team, it's a culture and climate team?
Well, some of them are in the basketball team, but some of them he works with closely. So he requested to do this initiative in terms of supporting students and character development. So I want to support the work as a culture and climate lead because we are, one of the areas that was identified as a priority group was African American.
I'm sorry. It's because
Oh,
we're
sorry.
at the same time to me.
Sorry.
You're
One of the-
talking and okay, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so one of the areas in terms of behavior data and attendance is African American and Hispanic males.
Okay.
So it's something that he's done before. That is when he used to work at with his coaching experience and working at his previous in terms of developing young men. So something he wants to trying to support any initiatives around culture and climate and priority groups. So it's separated. You'll see that it's $1,000 total. So that's the only thing that he requested. In terms of, and it's the vendor is not is Bucktown Embroidery. So I know someone requested that information. So
Mr. Gillis, Ms. Dunn,
No, that's okay.
you're okay. Mr. Gillis, go ahead.
How much fun did he have prior to this? To work with the kids,
no, it's something that he came up with in terms of,
besides what he gets?
no, they don't have like a big culture and climate.
Yeah.
No, this is separate. Well, there wasn't like, there's a big bucket in terms of like culture and climate, but not like in terms of supplies. They have incentives like we allocated for the semester awards for behavior and attendance, but this is specific to priority group data. So the other culture and climate monies that are allocated is to support like the general tier 1. So the banquets, the brunches that are gonna be planned for students and their families in terms of improvement in behavior attendance, the semester 2 awards assembly. So right now we have planned the semester 2, the 2 brunches for families and students. We have the heroes luncheon for semester 2. So that was what that was allocated for.
I have one other question. Does that group do any?
I'm sorry. It was Ms. Dunn's turn.
Oh, no, no, I
You're
apologize.
done? Yeah.
We're done.
I'm trying.
Yeah, no, I apologize.
Okay,
No,
so,
no,
no,
I'm
you're
done.
okay? Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So my question was, does that group do any sort of fundraising?
For
The
students,
culture private that's asking for $1,000.
no.
Okay.
This is tier 1. It's not an extra, it's part of like their day activities, like mentorship and group.
Okay.
Any more questions? Mr. Gus? Okay. So close discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yeah.
Mr. Keelis,
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Merlos,
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
No.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson.
She just rejoined again.
Ms. Destiny?
I rejoined.
Okay. Did you hear the discussion about budget transfer number 1 on the list here?
No.
You can abstain if you want to.
I abstain.
So it's gonna pass, let's see. I got
Abstain in favor.
10 in favor, 1 no, 1 abstention.
Yes. Motion passed. Next item. Mr. Roches.
Motion to transfer a total of $150.90 from vending machine line 46291 124579115 256 106 to 46291-124-53405 211-210-000321 for the same, that's the other offset amount to purchase the hoodies for the students, incentive for Mr. Hannah's team to promote young men of color.
I second.
Thank you, Don. Open for discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Dunn.
You know, you said that our vendor that we use is Bucktown,
For this one,
but how do we determine what vendors that we use? Like, do we put it out for quotes? Do we?
yeah, we reach out to different vendors and sometimes they reply, sometimes they don't reply, sometimes they do embroidery, sometimes they don't do embroidery, sometimes they do prints, sometimes they don't do print. Sometimes they'll give you a better price. So you shop around as best as possible.
Isn't there a list of vendors?
No, actually, a lot of them have been deactivated. So you go through the new system that they have in CPS with EFS. So you could do, and so like what we're finding is like a lot of vendors that were active are actually not active anymore. So you're like literally calling, and that takes time. So you're calling, like no one responds, or you're sometimes lucky someone responds. Or you could now, Amazon is a strategic source vendor, but then they don't do printing of anything sometimes. So it's like, you work
So
with
Amazon is
a strategic source vendor.
also vendor for CPS.
Yes, a strategic source vendor. But they have, when you go on through the CPS version of it, it tells you what you can and cannot buy. Yeah, so there are limitations to that too.
But I didn't know Amazon was a road vendor.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Richard.
you know, I heard you say that, basically what we're working on is for, the young man of, color, which black, and I also heard you say Latino. But, you know, funding this just for young men of color doesn't put a Latino in there. I mean, we gotta be careful how we word things. Because if we're saying we're gonna cover Latinos and a black man or a black boy, you know, we have to kind of include them there too. Because when you say young color, I don't consider a Latino color. I mean, Latinos are Latino, even though they have a brand as a brown, you know, but to me, I'm not brown. I'm Latino. But these are the things that I think you have to kind of be straight when we're approving budget. Because they could say, well, we never said that we're gonna support the Latino kids. Who's gonna fight that?
No, the Young Men of Color Conference is for, CPS is Black and Brown.
Right, but that's not what I read here. You know, I gotta go with what I'm reading in order to approve something, and I just caught it on the second part. I caught it on the first, but I kind of like let it go, but, you know, I mean, these are things that when we are asking for money, we have to specify, because whatever you put there, that's where the money's supposed to go, not to somebody else. Just saying.
Go ahead, Mr.
If I can
Porter.
make the suggestion, I don't know if this is answerable tonight, but like a basic rule of making arguments is something called defining your terms. It sounds like we throw around certain terms like color or not colored or disability, but we don't know what we mean by them. So we have to upfront, and I don't know if we can do it in this case, but we've had several discussions tonight where they're easy go-tos when we want to make a point against someone else. But if we don't, if there's no, that's what I've been saying for months now, there's no consistency of argument here. There's no consistency of terms. So I am in complete agreement that I'm for money helping kids, however, but yeah, but sometimes we throw out arguments based in color to serve this purpose, and other times we don't. You can't have, we have to define our terms of what we're talking about if we're going to make sincere efforts to help kids. How about helping kids who need help? That's it. How about that as a positive?
Or kids in the program or
Yeah,
whatever.
so,
But-
so because earlier tonight we brought up things based in color about grading and attendance and all those. So what does that mean? And now it means something different.
Yeah, but
So I sympathize, Mr. Keelis. I think that's something that we get real comfortable making arguments with, but we don't quite, in good faith, use these terms. We use them to win arguments. And we need to maybe make better good faith arguments for the sake of helping kids. Good point. I realize that is, you know, but it's a point, but something to think about. I have a partly Latino son, so I don't know what to call him.
He's a girl.
No, he's a man. I can't do Spanish, so he can't understand me.
People that ask for further clarification for next meeting.
Girl, do you wanna?
No, because there is a lot there. I think, when we speak today in 2023 and say, Black and brown folks, colored folks, we're meaning Latino as well, 100% of the time. Yeah. So, and, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's how CPS is defined.
did you post it, Don?
No, not yet.
Oh, tonight?
Yeah, go ahead, we're not
Yeah,
receiving.
no, I just want to make something clear, you know, I brought it up so everybody could just think about it.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, we already approved one part of it, and, you know, this is pennies of the second part, so it's just to wake up and see the reality, that we're working here for the kids. I don't see color, I don't see where they come from, I just see kids, and that's what we should be focusing on. And to me, it should say the kids in the program or something else than just that. Just for future. I mean, and I'm glad you didn't close the discussion because
No.
I didn't want people voting again.
No, I'm
Because we already voted for the majority of the money, you know.
No, I was waiting for the rest of the LSC members to give an input if they want to, and I have to be
Okay,
fair
thank
with
you.
everyone talking.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. So no more comments? No? Okay, close discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Cost,
Yes.
Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Rolando Rodriguez.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm at my daughter's practice. Yes, yes.
Ms. Merlos,
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Shelby.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kimberly Hanson,
No.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. Next,
Oh, motion to transfer, sorry.
go ahead.
Motion to transfer a total $41.03 from SBB seminar fee subscription line 46291-115-545-0519010-0000575 to 46291-115-545-05221-234 to transfer from seminar fee subscriptions into professional development, curriculum development.
And then it goes open for discussion.
Madam,
Go ahead.
you skipped it on purpose, the $1,000 one.
Oh, I missed one.
Okay, no.
No,
just-
she
just when you
mentioned
come
that
back.
one, no?
No, I missed number 3.
We're on $41,
I'm on the 41.
Oh,
not just to
I
be
was there.
I'll go back.
I
clear.
was on the $1,000. So you can present the motion, I hope.
Oh, I present.
No,
Oh, we can keep it
no,
that way.
Keep
if you're
it and
okay.
then.
I'll go back.
we jump to
No, I'm sorry, I'm done. Mr. Todd, you're okay to keep the second and the motion instead of $41 to move to the.
The motion is for the $41. I just wanted to make it clear that she skipped one.
We have
So
to
that
go
way
back.
we go back once.
So we have to deny this motion.
No, this motion continues.
Fail.
No, it
Continues?
continues.
Oh, okay, got it.
All you have to do is, once the discussion is closed, we vote on that motion,
Uh-huh,
and then we go back to the $1,000.
got it, thank you. So open for discussion for the amount of $41.03. Open for discussion. No discussion, close discussion, roll call for vote, Mr. Caputo.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Cost,
Yes.
Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Mr. Rolando Rodriguez.
Oh, yes.
Just once, fine. Ms. Sue Merlos,
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shelby,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson.
Yes.
So, 12 to nothing. Motion passes. 12 yes.
Now I'll go back to the one. Motion to transfer a total of $1,000 from salary revenue line for 6291-124-54125-211-210-000-388 to 46291-124-53405-223-013-000-388 to transfer from services from services professional administrative to pay for assessment and testing.
Open for discussion. No discussion, close discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Cost.
Yes.
Ms. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Merlos. Ms. Sue Merlos,
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson.
Yes.
12, 0, no, motion passes.
Thank you. Next motion, please.
Motion to transfer a total of $6,476.40 from school year 23 comparability line 46291115 57915 119035 001023 to 46291-115 51320 290001 001023 for bucket pointer line teacher extended day to bucket to work on unit maps for Skyline and IB.
Thank you, Mr. Goss. Open for discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Dunn.
Is this for like, summer planning, certain departments? Like how do you qualify to be part of the planning?
So we opened it up at the IoT and our CAWP meeting that there would be money allocated from the comparability line. So when we met, it would be extended to departments to work on unit maps, especially English and math that are completely transitioning to Skyline for school year 24. So they're gonna have to redo their unit maps. So like the different departments are putting teams together that want to work after school with pay to rewrite their units because they're rewriting curriculum variety. So right now, the only department that has said yes and taking us up on the offer is English. So they gave us dates, and this goes all the way to June 30th. So it's open to any department who just wait. We need to know who wants to stay so that we can allocate we have to put the people into the SPS line. So English department started today, but not everyone in the English department, just some, because it's open, but you're going to be compensated to do this work because it is a big lift to transition from what you've been doing to Skyline and have to add that layer of IB. And this work can continue all the way up to June 30th. So I know that some teachers have said yes, even coming after their last day to continue that work for next school year, because I'm waiting for math to say yes. Because it is a lot of work, and the specialists will tell you firsthand, you cannot open that curriculum that first week of school. You're gonna be like, so it's to allocate for departments to work on units. I know world language is also gonna be transitioning, so we'll be meeting with them soon to see if anyone's interested. Mr. Carl's trying to gauge interest for math. The science wants to do, I know that you've been talking with, science has been talking with the AP, of course.
Okay.
Any teacher that wants to work on units, we have, like we talked about at their CAWP, we've allocated the money accordingly for that. Now we're just transferring it for that purpose.
I have a question. This is Skyline. This is the one that CPS is pushing, right?
Yeah, but not for every course, only for certain courses they have.
Okay, because I know that one of the problems that we are looking at is that everything that's going to be offered in that is English, no Spanish.
They have Spanish available for English and social studies and math, and I know that they've been working on English, Spanish.
Okay, working on
It should be finalized because they took everything down right now, so they may be uploading
it.
everything.
Okay, and the reason I say that is because I know that one of the complaints that we had was this was going to be implemented next year. But what's going to happen with the kids that don't understand the English language because of the immigrants that we're getting in from out of town, and even the ones that are here that don't understand what's going to happen with them. And I hate to continue putting money into something that not all our kids are going to benefit. That's my
No, I know. And they said that they should be finished with the Spanish already. So. And we could always check, but I know that they took down some of the curriculums because they're uploading some of the new stuff.
Mr. Rolando.
Are the so the leads are working with administrators, or just the teachers are working with administrators? Are they being led or mentored on to properly do it right, or is this something that we're gonna have to always put money aside for to fix every year? That's just the question.
So I know that for math, I can speak for math. Math is working with our Network 14 ISL and district specialists. Science is working closely with our every core subject that's been assigned an ISL. So English is working with the ISL for English, and we're trying to bring in the district specialist as well for English. That's part of the Skyline to provide that internal support. Internally, we have a teacher that has been experienced working with Skyline, and Ms. Pearson and I have been working on the scope and sequence in terms of adding the IB dimensions in terms of curriculum math for English. For math, so they're working with district specialists and myself, so I will be guiding them through the math process. With the district support, science is working with Ms. Pierce and the ISL, I want to just say ISL, and social studies will be working with Mr. DeCarlo and the ISL for social studies. So world language will be working with Ms. Rodriguez. But we haven't opened it up yet to world language. Right now, the only touch points that happen is social studies, math, science, and English.
Thank you.
So right now they're just, the English department met just to like have the teacher-led part, but eventually the ISL would be stepping in with the district specialists, and Ms. Rodriguez and Ms. Pilch will also be working with English closely. I'll be working closely with math.
Go ahead.
Two quick questions. You kind of, so right now, it sounds like it's being sort of in steps. It's only open to certain departments so far to use this money to work on new unit maps. And then, but eventually going into next year, it will be for all departments.
Right, yeah, we're gonna open it up to all. Right now, it's just because the core have ISLs already who have started that work. But world language, once they meet with Ms. Rodriguez, but it has to be willing. They have to want to. Like,
Sure, of course.
they can do it on their own time, but we have that bucket if they say yes. That's what we agreed to at our CAWP meeting, that we were going to have these buckets for teachers to work, and we allocated the Empower funds as well for summer planning.
Okay. So, and second question, Skyline. There is this CPS our policy? Is using Skyline next year mandatory or voluntary?
So we're using Skyline as a way to, because we're going to do English transitional for all, so that scope and sequence is aligned to that English transitional. So there are going to be flexibility points because we are still IB, like the English second year sophomores, we're going to have to replace 2 units with the personal project unit. So already we know that we have to amend the scope and sequence. We already looked at the English 1 scope and sequence, and we know that it's 9 units, and we're going to condense it to 7 because of the timeline, and because MYP is 6 units and 1 interdisciplinary unit. So I've been working with one of our new English teachers who is well-versed in assessment and IB curriculum writing. In terms of, she already read the book and she was looking at the scope and sequence, and so we already consolidated like what would make sense, these 2 units, and I know that they were talking about it, but not fully. So there's going to be flexibility, and already based on review by some of the teachers, is that it has to be supplemented with some other culturally responsive materials because it is missing some pieces, and it does go slow sometimes. Like it could, and the specs are sometimes not exciting. So we've already looked at some of that. So there's going to be a need to kind of add your touch to it, supplement. If you want to replace the book with it, there's flexibility there. But that's the work that they're doing with this. But the only way that's going to happen is for TCTs or teachers to come together to have those discussions and bring the expertise to the table on how to take what works, because they did do a lot of good work, right? So your WIDA standards are there, your language objectives are there, the differentiation is there, your questioning is robust. So it's, you can apply some of the questioning techniques to any type of textbook or novel that you read. The articles are pretty good, and you already know that they've done, like they have in the scope and sequence, how the books, their lexile ranges, how they're culturally responsive, and to what culture they're responsive to. So they've done that pre-work. So to ask teachers to do some of that work, it's better to take what's there and see where you can adapt it so that it becomes more relevant to assignments and exciting. And we have to add the IB layer to it. So Yeah. And so that's the work but that's why those buckets were created, was for that work to happen. Because you're not going to get anything perfect. Nothing comes perfect when you buy a textbook or you go with any curriculum. There still has to be that personal touch that comes from the teacher and from the discussion of the TCTs to elevate, to add, to supplement, to bring in additional text that may be more relevant to the student population that we serve, because we have to take in all of those factors too, right?
So,
But that's going to happen at TCTs. So there's going to be pieces of it, like your scope and sequence is already laid out. So your standards are already done for you. Your levels of rigor are already done. Your assessments may have to be tweaked, but there's flexibility. But the good thing is that there's some vertical alignment that's going to be leading up to English transition on that.
so, yeah, so of course we want, I'm sorry, I was still.
I'm sorry,
No,
that's your question.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Finish. All right.
So what I heard after all that was, of course, we want the best unit plans we can possibly have. But this is money specifically for a Skyline-based program, and it's a lot of money. And anyone who spent any time with CPS at all knows that things come and go, and it's a lot of things to throw around. So teachers making great unit plans, everyone's in favor of that. Whether we need Skyline or not, it's been rolled out in this weird tilted manner. Some people have some different. So my question is Skyline mandatory next year, or is it optional?
We're going full fledged with Skyline for yeah.
So we chose, so it's.
Yeah, we talked because we are a tier 3 school in terms of based on performance and academic alignment and instructional core. Full force in the fact that we'll be following some of the elements of the Skyline, the scope and sequence that will have vertical alignment. Yes, the flexibility to still integrate other texts like sciences. Science has already adopted the CPS curriculum a while back ago. And so they could tell you firsthand that they have flexibility and room to adjust. Social studies has been doing that. There has to be some more with more coherence and alignment across the TCTs. But they've been doing that work. So they could tell you firsthand, science and social studies, that it's not like completely like they don't follow it to a T, but there are some great elements and they follow the scope and sequence, the themes, the NGSS standards. But they could tell you that they've adapted some of the work, they adjust, they integrate. They're just working more on like that coherence and alignment from social studies and science. So that would be the same way. There are going to be elements that we'll keep to make sure that TCTs are on the same page. But there's going to be always flexibility, especially when it comes to diverse learners, EL, differentiation, pacing, and even science and social studies can tell you they sometimes don't even get to still the whole scope and sequence.
So,
Because they add so much to it.
so what I'm hearing, and Skyline might be an excellent tool available to teachers, and they can choose to integrate as much, as little, and do all those things. But what I'm hearing is it's not required. It's available as a tool, and it's being highly encouraged by this administration to be.
The elements that will be required is like the standards and the scope and sequence, like the standards.
So the
To
elements,
make-
yes,
yes,
we've always had those.
like that, making sure that we.
That has nothing to do with Skyline. Though, but
Yeah,
it's
so the
Skyline.
elements of the standards will be vertically aligned because we gotta make sure that we're hitting our grade level standards and it's already mapped out for us. And we know that if we follow this scope and sequence, where you're gonna have flexibility is on your text, your supplementals, articles, if you want to bring additional text, which is what some people have already been doing in science and social studies. Primary resource, secondary resources. But the standard piece, the scope and sequence, the themes, at least we're going to try to keep that as consistent. That would be the non-negotiable so that we know we have that vertical alignment in English and math. And then you have flexibility supplement. And then what was the other question?
So to my understanding is that CPS is saying you're gonna use Skyline, and if you decide not to use Skyline, you gotta pull out of your budget to buy whatever else you need.
Or you can create it on your own.
So that's the catch.
But that, to add, that is a catch that you would have to, but then it has to be an approved,
It's gonna cost us more.
Well, most teachers would create their own plans, whether, with materials we've had or used before, we wouldn't necessarily have to buy any.
Following your standard.
Yeah, using the standards are available, they're free, we work together, we have text, we have methods, we've been doing this for many, many years, and I think teachers, we've done unit plans. I've done it to 3 schools I've been at. We always say unit plans and we develop them together. And CPS has released similar types of curriculum-based things like this before that have come and gone. So the mix of all these things, teachers create unit plans as a department, as teams, as individuals, and it's doable without Skyline. Nothing against Skyline. It sounds like Skyline is available as a tool that CPS recommends and our administration recommends, but it's not required. And teachers, if they don't use it or use part of it, they would be responsible for creating the rest of the unit plan, is what I'm hearing.
It seems that if the one that CPS wants all the schools to apply
Yeah, because
to all levels.
I could, yeah, if Jess wants it, that's true.
yes, and one of the factors that has to be considered is the materials. The curriculum would cost anywhere from $70,000 to $100,000. Whereas at least here are some robust materials. You plan around it, you include it, you work with it. Now notice that it's Skyline and IB because they don't have Skyline for every course. So it's not just close out to people that are transitioning to Skyline. It's also for like the new courses that we'll be offering, such as the Latin study literature and the African American literature. So it's anyone that has to write a unit too. So it's Skyline and I because we have the other TCTs that don't have access to Skyline that will have to write everything from scratch. Or refining. Some courses may have to because they're new courses.
Speaking is also part of that.
We still discussing?
Yes, if anyone else has a
No,
question.
it has nothing to do with the motion. I just want to everybody to know that a 2-hour limit is coming.
Yes, that's what we are talking on the side.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so, pause discussion? No more questions? Okay, pause discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Right.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
I vote no. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Mr. Cost,
Yes.
Mr. Rolando Rodriguez,
Drop the spoon.
Mr. Rolando Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Merlos,
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei.
Yes.
So that's 11 yes, 1 no. Motion passes.
And with that, we are going to conclude our meeting because it is 6:59 PM and we're ready to our 2 hours limit.
I second.
So I would like to present a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I said.
And it's 7 PM.
Before, you adjourn the meeting, I would like to make a motion to table the rest of the, proposals that are in the agenda, for our next meeting.
Or the next
if-
regular meeting.
Unless there's something in these proposals that need to really go out.
Concessions for the track meets will happen after. the next
Yeah,
meeting will
the
happen after.
fundraising and
Oh, okay.
the purchasing of the EL will have to of the EL resources. This will be the
I have to go over the principles of the
We have one fundraiser, at least the iPads for the EL students, because it takes a while to get purchased from Apple. You have to put in the order and you have to receive it before June 30th. It's my understanding.
So you have two,
No, go ahead.
you have
And then we have the
two
fundraisers.
of the budget transfers to do, and then the,
No, everything else can be tabled. The iPad one for the EL students. Everything else can wait. And the fundraiser, if we don't vote today, it will.
Okay, so I'm gonna retract my motion.
Okay.
I would like to put a motion for us to, just vote on those two and table the rest of the, items on the proposals.
Okay.
Somebody second that?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Ms. Hanson. Ms. Hanson, open for discussion. Discuss ready for discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Aye.
I vote yes. Mr. Cost.
Yes.
Ms. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Merlos.
Yes.
Ms. Itzel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Hand.
Yes.
Ms. Shelley.
Yes.
Yes.
And Ms. Destiny Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes 12 to none.
Well, okay. Well, we continue with,
And then,
two items.
I'll be fast.
Please.
Motion to transfer total 5,000 from school year comparability line 46291-115-545-0522134 001-023 to 46291-115-53405-119035 001-023 to transfer from seminar subscriptions to instructional supplies to purchase iPads for EL students to use for translating services in the classroom with their phones.
Second.
No, second, okay.
Okay.
Open for discussion. Questions?
how are we gonna keep these iPads in here?
And with the ELPT coordinator, they're only gonna be dedicated for EL students for her to like distribute and make sure to select. So they're gonna be housed in the,
I use them for translating services and they come in these big stands that you can't like,
no, it's because they can't hover with the Chromebooks.
right,
They have to do this.
right, so you're talking a video,
The iPad, they can go like this.
yeah,
Whereas the Chromebook, they have to,
yeah, yeah.
or side by
So they're
side.
not gonna be in like a house.
They're gonna be with the ELPT. So she can keep track of how she
How
assigns
many
them.
are you
for
here?
$5,000 worth.
Like.
That would be like $400 each and then card, yeah.
And the cart.
Maybe not a card. I gotta work with, them to see what the pricing is right now for Apple. So right now they're behind, so we're still waiting on other stuff. The $5,000 is all that's left on the comparability and I'm still dedicated to EL.
Nice. Okay. It'll be very useful.
Any more questions? Any more?
Oh my God.
Okay. Any more questions, Mr. Gillis? More questions? Really fast. Okay, pause discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Aye.
I vote yes. Mr. Cost.
Yes.
Ms. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Ms. Merlos. Ms. Itzel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Rolando.
I don't see him anymore.
Ms. Merlos. Ms. Hanson.
Yes.
I know Ms. Johnson, Destiny Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Shoei.
Yeah.
So that's 12, or I'm sorry, 10 yes, 2.
Now we're abstaining.
Two abstain.
And motion passed. What's the next motion?
What's the other one?
The fundraiser.
Fundraising, right?
Oh, research?
Yeah, simply put, we'd like to be able to sell concessions at the upcoming two track meets, the one on April 29th and the one on May 13th. We anticipate large numbers of people and a long day, so we'd love to be able to have refreshments for people and be able to make some profit off that.
Wow.
So I motion that we,
Oh, yeah, nobody moved.
Yes, yes.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, go ahead, Ms.
I motion that we approve concessions to be sold at the meets on April 29th and May 13th.
Second.
Second.
Dr. Rocha, second. Okay, open for discussion. Pause discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr.
Madam Chair, just a clarification, I thought that Ms. P was, had already put the motion.
No, Ms. Dunn made the
No.
motion.
Ms. Dr. Welch has made the motion only to approve the other part of the.
One more.
The 6 months, yeah. And
Just
Ms.
clarification.
Dunn made the motion to go into the fundraising. So, close discussion, roll call for vote, please.
Dr. Vilches,
Oh, yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Aye.
I'll say yes. Mr. Cos.
Yes.
Ms. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Oh, he's left. Ms.
Yeah, he left.
Merlos left. Merlos,
I think she left too.
Itzel Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Bethany Johnston,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei.
Yes.
So 10 yes, 2 abstain.
Motion pass. Okay, with that, I would like to present the motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:08 PM. Oh, wait, we're gonna table the other item, right?
Yeah, that wasn't the motion.
Oh, okay, and we voted already.
Yes. That was part of the motion that I.
Okay, so and now I was right? Thank you. So at 7:08 PM, our meeting is adjourned. Our next LLC regular meeting is gonna take place on May 9 at 5 PM, and it's going to be in person for LLC members. And there will be online accessibility for participants,
For guests,
or guests, right?
we have to reach out to, there was an email that was sent out that if it was in the bylaws or if it was a practice before, then it can continue, but I don't know. I wasn't here for last year's LSC. Did you guys allow for visitors to be online?
No.
So then we have to contact someone. It said in the email to
We can
contact
find it out. We can
someone,
find it out and we can notify, 48 hours for you.
something, and there's a protocol that we have to put in place. That's what the email said.
Okay,
But there's someone that we can reach out to see how to
Okay.
establish that process.
okay.
Because I
We'll
wasn't
find it
here.
out then. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Enjoy the weather.
I'm gonna go and go over the, oh, roll call. Wait, I'm sorry. Roll call. So everyone in favor in this case? Yes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you, Mr. Keeler. We all want to go. Yes, we're ready to go. So I'm gonna call a special meeting at 5:30 on Thursday.